Hot rodding is always about being creative, and it doesn't matter whether you're working on a 1947 Ford like this or a 70 Challenger like this. The key to hot rodding is creativity. Today, here in the shop, we're facing some harsh realities about the amount of upholstery fabric that we have for this project, and we're looking at some creative alternatives to use some things that we already have so we don't have to spend any money. That's the core of what hot rodding is all about. Let's get into it. I'm Mike, and I'm your host here, and this is My Car's Shop. Here in this series, we've been building the door cards for this 47 Ford, and we've been working on some filler pieces for the back seat here to adapt these seats out of a 1990 Dodge Shadow. And I just did the measuring, and we have just enough upholstery fabric to do the 4-door panels, the door cards, with a little bit left over. But that means that I have some creative problems to deal with. We have to have fabric or carpet to put where that black is in there behind that armrest. We have to have fabric to make the 2 end pieces for the back seat. We have to have fabric to do the armrests, 4 of those. And here in my bolt of fabric, I rolled it out and measured it, and I have just enough fabric to do 4 door cards. Yes, there will be a bunch left over. Will there be enough left over to do other things? Probably, but I'm also looking at what I have for creative solutions. There are these 2 pieces that came with those seats out of that Shadow when I stripped the interior out of it, and they have nice upholstery fabric. And I got to thinking, is it possible to use this fabric to make 4 armrest pads for the 47? I like the idea because this fabric matches the seats, where we're using this plain gray material, silvery gray material as the door pads. That's a nice contrast and would break up the door just a little bit. So we're going to see if we can make this work. I don't know if it's going to be a success or a failure. That's what it's all about here, spending the day in the shop working on whatever I'm doing. So let's peel off one of these upholstery tops here and see what we got. I shudder to think about how many hours of my life I have spent installing and removing hog rings. I'm hoping that these clips are enough. So what hog rings are is little metal rings that go on with a special plier on factory seat covers mostly, although any seat cover is designed that way. And they just clip around, and then you squeeze them, and they form a circle that holds the upholstery to the fabric or the frame of whatever you're working on. So in order to remove these hog rings, yeah, this is what I expected. You just cut them, and I'm going to go around and do that on all of these. There's a lot. Back in the day in the dealership, we used to have to warranty seat covers, and we always did this work ourselves. Put a lot of seat covers on back in the day, so not anything new to me. And in fact, we did the seat covers many years ago in the 74 Swinger that we call Sassy. I got a set of used covers from somebody who reupholstered their interior, and they gave me all the old upholstery, which was in good shape. They were just changing the style of that interior to something else. So I think they went buckets, and they gave me all the bench seat upholstery. That's what it was, including the back seat, because they changed the style of the design. So we're just going around here and finding these hog rings and clipping them or ripping them or doing what we got to do to get them out of there, like that. There's kind of a hog ring that I bent into an S. So it's a lot of lather, rinse, and repeat. Not a job that I particularly enjoy, but if this works for us, then it's a winner chicken dinner. Okay, we've got all of our hog rings loose now, I think, so we can strip the upholstery off of this. It's nice padded foam. I like that. And we have some nice foam here. If we need to, we can cut that up. So let's put that in the good spot to save it. And let's get all these little rings out of here now that I didn't pull out when we were... they didn't come out easily, so I want to get them all out of the fabric just to not have to deal with those later. So I'll get another pair of pliers and we'll open these up and get them out. So you can see the way this was designed is it had kind of a pad on the top. And I think it was sewn. I don't know if it hooked into around here. I believe there was cloth that went over this as well. I'm not necessarily going to make it like that. I've got some ideas on how I want to do this. But I'm going to make a separate pad that goes on the top of here that will just screw or bolt to the metal. I think that's the way I want to do this. So I need to come up with a way to do that that's going to be functional, and I think I know what I'm going to do. Again, it's HotRod stuff. I want it to look good, but it doesn't have to match factory for this car. I'm just doing my own thing with what I have, so I don't have to spend any money at all. None of this may work also, I don't know. But what I'm going to do is trace out a piece of wood that I can use for a backing board to make a little upholstered pad that will sit on here. I hope. That's my plan. We'll see if it works. I need a marker. Here we go. Whoops. Okay, and that board needs to be a little bit smaller to allow room for the upholstery. Okay, so about like that. So we'll get our saber saw. Let's see, did I? Yep, we're okay. Okay, so I need my saber saw, and we will cut that out, and then we'll see what we got. I actually think that's pretty good. So then the next thing I want is a piece of padding, and I've waffled back and forth as to whether to just carve some of this padding out or use this dense foam. I think I'm going to use this dense foam because it's too stupid to know any better. And again, we will make that pretty much the same size as the wood, and then we'll just use our saber saw to cut this out. It's the best way I found to cut this stuff. It's simple, easy, and I like simple and easy. So here we go again on my own. A whole lot easier than mucking with a knife. Now, did I do that the right way? I don't know. Just goes like... a little off there. Guess I didn't cut it quite like I should have. Let's make sure that I'm not upside down. Oh, that was the issue, and I didn't have a tissue. Okay, and I need to mark my top again. So now that we know this goes like that, okay, 100% like this. So let's mark this the top. And we'll mark this the top. Okay, you see how nice that works on there, that black marker on that black thing? Okay, now, will we be able to get a piece out of this that's big enough to upholster this and still leave me, I need to get probably 3 out of each piece. 1 for the back, 2 for the front, or 2 fronts on one, 2 backs out of the other. I don't know. I gotta figure that out. So here we go. Here's what we got. Turned out good. One problem was right here, because this was stitched. I didn't get that as good as I wanted, but I think we'll be okay. It's going to look all right once we put it on here, I think. That'll roll under, so it's not going to be the end of the world there. But that's going to look nice on there. So a couple of things, though. I didn't think far enough ahead to realize that the armrests in the back are longer. I was assuming I was making 4 of these, which I had enough material. I have enough material to make another one of these for the front, but the ones in the back are longer, which means I can make 3 out of this material between this and that. I don't think I can get 2 rears out of that. Maybe I can, but the odds of finding this material, finding another interior that I can rip one more of these out of is going to be pretty minimal. I do have a minivan out back. I just thought of that, but I don't think the interior is the same. That's a couple years newer. It would need to be a 1990 Dodge Shadow there was only a couple of interior options. I would only need just one little chunk of upholstery fabric to make one more of these. I can look around and see what I can find, but the odds of that are going to be pretty minimal, unfortunately. But anyway, what I want to do now is I'm going to attach this onto here, and we're going to do that by drilling some holes somewhere. There we go. Probably 3. What do we want to do? It's about 3 or 4. I don't know. We'll do one up front. Maybe. Apparently this bit is getting a bit dull. Just using some taper head wood screws to put this on here. Okay, good. How's that look? Looks pretty good. Yeah, I kind of like that. I'm hoping that these screws will draw things down enough to squish that upholstery a little bit where it's bunched up. Absolutely. Oh, abso-freaking-lutely. It worked perfect. So I've got, I don't know how many screws I put in here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 screws. It's probably a bit overkill, but I wanted to be sure it pulled it, well, not that thing, pulled everything down nice and tight. One more. And we could put more if we needed to. There we go. We have created a custom armrest. I think that's pretty swivel. Looks like my pad. Yeah, I think we're going to be okay by the time we put it against a panel like this. Oh yeah, it looks beautiful. By the time we put it against a panel like that, it's going to be really swivel. So, man, cool. Got some head scratching to do here because if I'm going to do armrests, I really think all 4 should match. And I'm pretty sure I don't have enough material to do the back ones. I would need one more of those armrests. So I'm reluctant to do the other front one for this side until I figure that out. However, proof of concept, proof of what I'm thinking, proof of it all works. So another option would be going to a vinyl on there. That's a possibility. So I need to just do some pondering on that. But as always, it's about sharing the day with you here in the shop, sharing my thinking with you, sharing the things I'm experimenting with, sharing all kinds of just different things that you can learn from and apply to your own projects. Some of you may be frustrated that I didn't share the technique on how I upholstered this pad. I actually already did share an episode exactly on the techniques for upholstery. I did when I did this panel. Full disclosure, the staples were too long because there was no padding on this, and so the staples are poking up through the upholstery fabric. But I didn't have the right length staples. But I was demonstrating how we were going to upholster the door pads or the door panels. I'm not putting any foam on those. I'm going to glue the upholstery fabric directly to the wood on that one because those panels are concaved like this a little bit, and I don't want the material to be hanging and flopping. So that I demonstrated how to do a round corner here. I demonstrated how to do a 90-degree minimally rounded corner. All of that is in another episode. So if you want to know how I did this exactly the same way as I did this. I will share more with you when I do the door panels. Today was about proving, can I use this old piece of scrap material and will it work? Now, I'm going to take a trip out back to that minivan and see if it happens to have the same upholstery fabric, because if it does, we're in like Flynn. Here's a thought. Because those are 13 inches long by 4 inches wide at the widest end, I may be able to get 2 out of here, but it may require me sewing an edge on. So we may do that. We may take the chance. I'm also going to ask around, because if I don't have to sew, if I can just rip one out of this and get another piece like this and rip one out of that, that's the easiest way, and I'm all about ease. So I'm going to call around to some of my buddies that have these old Mopars kicking around, show them a piece of this fabric and say, hey, do you have an old, Mopar out there that happens to have this fabric I could get a chunk of the upholstery from? So that's going to be first on the agenda. So I'm going to stop there. We demonstrated to you that it can be done using stuff that you might not even consider using. It's great fabric, nothing wrong with it. The only thing was that because I was thinking that the back armrests were the same exact as this. I didn't realize that they were wedge shaped and longer. So that's going to be an issue, and I don't have a tissue, but we will figure it out. We can always change this to something else. Proof of concept is here, but presenting the idea that, hey, you may have upholstery fabric kicking around that you can use for a project you never even thought about because you just didn't look at it through those eyes. All right, that's going to do it for this one. I think this is just amazing. I really like the way this looks. Once we determine fabric-wise what we're doing, we'll knock the other 3 out, so there'll be an episode coming on that at some point. But I think this just looks amazing. So thanks for being here. I appreciate it. We will catch you on the next one. Rod!